Hare Krishna Prabhujis and Matajis, thank you for joining. We are in the Bhagavad Gita 18 chapter, 18-day high level summary, which is the summary study program. My name is Patita Pavana Balramdas. I am from the Bhakti Riksha team. We completed until chapter 7. We have to read chapter 8 today. Anyone joining new today? Okay, great. I'll share my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, great. So we'll get started. So we are in the Gita Gyan as we keep discussing, and which is basically the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is also the essence of all the Vedic scriptures. Before we discuss about any spiritual topics, we say a few prayers so that we seek the mercy of the Supreme Lord in the previous acharyas. So please unmute yourself and say along with me together. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नाम्ने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we are dedicating this program to ISKCON founder Acharya, His Divine Grace S. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We are inspired to do this program by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami. He is a senior member in ISKCON and he is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. And we have been discussing about the glories of Bhagavad Gita by taking the verses from Gita Mahatmya written by Adi Sankaracharya. I think today is the 8th verse. It has total 8. Anyone wants to read the verse and translation?
गीताया पुस्तकं यात्रा नित्यपटाश्च वर्तते तत्र सर्वाणि तीर्थानि प्रयागदिनि भूतले श्रीवैष्णवीयतन्त्र Sara 40. All the holy places in this universe, such as Prayaga, are eternally present wherever the Gita, the eternal book of divine song, is present.
Yeah, I think this is taken from Sri Vaishnava Tantra Sara. So this is also describing about the glories of Gita, and it is saying that just like all the holy places of the universes are present, similarly these holy places are also present in Gita. As they were present in Prayaga, they are also present in Gita, and this is an eternal song. Wherever the Gita is present, the holy places are also present. So we'll do a quick recap of what we discussed about chapter 7. Anyone remembers what is the name of the chapter?
Knowledge of the absolute.
Nice, yeah, very nice. 3 times Haribol to Shilpa Mataji. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Yeah, so we have been discussing, right? First 6 chapters are about different yoga processes. Then Krishna towards end of chapter 6 introduces Yogi Namapi Sarvesham Madgate Antaratma. So the yogi who keeps me in the heart, he is the topmost yogi. And now Krishna is explaining about the process of achieving. And first he is going to tell about the knowledge about himself, the absolute truth. And he's saying that of millions of people, thousands and millions of people, only one takes a step towards perfection, self-realization, and remaining else, nobody makes that endeavor. And who are the people who doesn't make that endeavor? There are 4 people who are foolish, who are lowest of the mankind. Foolish means they don't know what is the purpose of life. Lowest of mankind know the purpose of life, human life, but still they don't. They neglect the process of achieving that. And then Maya Paharata Gnana, which are the people whose illusion is stolen by Maya, means they are so much either busy or either in miserable condition in Maya that they don't have any. When we ask them, oh, I know I'm very busy, please don't disturb me, like those kind of people. I'm busy with my life. I don't have time for Bhagavad Gita, all those things. And finally, the atheistic and the demoniac people who want to go against God willingly. But there are four people who approach the Supreme Lord. Someone who is Artha, means distressed. Jignasa means who is looking for answers. Artharthi, someone who is looking for wealth or economic development. And finally, who is a Gnani, who knows that there is a Supreme Lord and they want to know more about the Supreme Lord. And Krishna is saying that those people who come to him and understand that he is the Supreme Lord is Mahatma. After many, many lives only, they come to that state. It's not like if you suddenly think that suddenly a person become Krishna conscious, don't look at their one lifetime. It is many, many lifetimes of effort and previous pious activities that were done that they were able to reach that position. So just because in one lifetime they did not do Ashtanga Yoga or Gnana Yoga or Karma Yoga doesn't mean that they did not do it before. And the fact that they came to Krishna consciousness means they already went through those yoga processes and understood that they are not the ones that they are looking for that will give them the perfection. And we all have to strive to be that Mahatma. And yeah, and other thing is, if someone is doing like yoga practices and all, and someone is in Krishna consciousness, the Krishna conscious person need not think that, oh, why I should I do yoga or should I do Ashtanga yoga? They have a bigger diamond in their hand, and they have to understand the value that they have, because these are the scriptures that Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, these are the things that will help them realize that they already crossed all those things. If we came to the 10th grade, we don't want to go and sit in the 4th grade or 5th grade again for satisfaction, right? It will only waste more time for us. Now coming to chapter 8. Chapter 8, Krishna is going to tell how to attain that supreme. He gave the knowledge about that supreme absolute truth. Now he is giving the more confidential knowledge. So we discussed about Guhyam, Guhyataram, Guhyatamam, right? So now the Guhyam part is in the chapter 2 to chapter 6, which is we are not this body, we are the soul that resides in this. If we did not take the path of spirituality, or nobody from our parents or elders told that there is a soul, that we would not have known that there is a soul. So that secret knowledge is first revealed. Then the more secret knowledge is how to achieve that supreme lord. Nobody will tell you that clearly, because so many people will come up with so many theories, but the supreme lord himself is now telling the process of attaining the supreme. So we'll read from this verse. Antakale cha mameva
Antakaले च मामेव
smaran muktva kalevaram
Smaran
परं
Mukta
मुक्त्वा
Kalevaram
कलेवरं
yah prayati samadbhavam
यः प्रयाति
Yaprayati
समद्भावम्
Samadbhavam
यस्यात्मसमद्भावं
yati nastyatra samshayah.
याति
याति
Nastyatra
नास्त्यत्र
Samshayaha.
संशयः.
Anyone wants to read the translation?
Hare
And
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, I think one Mataji was going to read. We can read the next one, Prabhu.
whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature of there is no doubt. Hare
Jai,
Krishna.
thank you, Mataji. So, the secret Krishna is revealing. What is he revealing? When somebody is leaving their body, when somebody is about to die, whatever they think when they leave, they will achieve. So, if they focus on Krishna, if they remember Krishna at the time of leaving their body, then they attain Krishna's nature, means they go to the supreme abode. And Krishna is saying there is no doubt about it. Actually, recently some news came out. I don't know if anyone followed or not, but in multiple, at least 3 or 4 scenarios, there were people who were brain dead and they were in the hospital in that state. But the equipment was all connected to their brain, tracking the brain waves, and everything was not active. But they died for whatever reason, because sometimes in coma it's not always that they wake up, sometimes they leave the body also. Previously they never, when this equipment it's not there where it is reading the brain waves and all, nobody really knew about what happens at the time of death. But in 2 to 3 separate instances, it was found that when these people, in even the brain dead people, when they are about to die, there is no activity in the brain. But after they died, when they looked at the chart, that the waves that were captured, the brain, every inch, every nerve, every, what is it, not nerve, it's called every neuron, and every thing in the brain got activated for like few seconds, and then it died off. So what they were saying is like the whole um, thing about uh, whatever brain responsible for memory and all, everything got lit up. And that's what Krishna is also saying in Bhagavad Gita, and now it all like reconciles well. He's saying that at the time of death, the whole life of a person flashes in front of their in their mind, and whichever they are most attached to, they will take the life in that manner. So if we think that, okay, Krishna consciousness is not for me, I will do towards end of the life. If you are doing this one particular activity for a lot of time, uh, you will be naturally thinking of that only. So that's why it is recommended that we do devotional service as early as possible. Like for example, you cannot go to an exam, prepare like 1 hour before the exam and expect to pass the exam, right? You only if you prepare throughout the year, do some practice and all, then you will be able to pass. Same thing in spirituality also. If we keep on trying to remember Krishna throughout the life, then Krishna will make us remember. And we'll see next chapter. What if we cannot remember? What if we get some mental health problem where we lose memory and all those things? What about those people? Well, let's say throughout their life from 30 years or 40 years, they do a lot of devotion towards Krishna or the Supreme Lord, and then towards the end of their life, they lost memory or they got dementia or something. Krishna addresses that scenario also. We'll see that in next chapter. But for now, what we have to understand is whatever state of mind we have at the end of a time of leaving the body, that state will attain. So if we keep remembering Krishna at the time of leaving the body, he's saying that they will immediately achieve liberation. And that's the example we know of Bhishma Deva also, right? He wanted to, when he was about to leave the body, he immediately remembers the form of Krishna as Narayana, the 400 form, and he gets so much attached to that, and then he leaves the body. So then he goes back to Vaikuntha. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam
Yam
Yam yam
vapi
vapi
smaran
smaran
bhavam
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 yajanti ante kalevaram
yajatya ante
yajnanti
kalevaram
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 tam tam evaiti kaunteya
tam
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 eva iti
evaiti
Evaiti
kaunteya
Kaunteya
tada tadbhava bhavitaha.
tada tat
tada
bhava
tadbhava
Tadbhava
bhavitaha.
Bhavita.
Anyone wants to read the translation? Kiran Kumar Prabhuji, you want to read?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Whatever whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of O son of Kunti, the state he will attain without fail.
So that's what we just discussed, right? So the whole life will flash in front of us at the time of leaving the body, and whichever thing we are most attached to is the one that comes to our mind. Let's say we are so much attached to our one of our child that then at the time of leaving the body, only they will come to our mind. Or if we are so much attached to the wealth that we have, at the time of leaving the body, only that will come. What else? There are multiple examples in from scriptures. Bharat Maharaj, after whom our country, the country India was named Bharat. Uh, he at the time he left his family and he went to the forest for performing yoga practices and all, and performing devotional service. And he saw a pregnant deer being chased by a tiger, and it was running so fast for its life, and in the process it gave birth to a baby deer and ran away. And he immediately went and saved the baby deer, and he took care of the baby, and he was so much attached to the baby. He felt, oh, baby dear, you are so alone. Let me help you. He did everything for the baby. And when he left the body, he was only thinking about the deer only. So what happened in the next life? He became a what? Guess who? What he became?
He took the birth of deer, I guess.
He became a deer. So uh, and then but since he did a lot of service, even when he was a deer, he was always used to hang out around the ashrama, like the hermitages and all. And as soon as the deer body was gone, he again came back to a human form of life, and he also continued his devotional service and got liberation. But and similarly, there are other examples where there used to be a person who is very much attached to his money, and he always thought about his money only in his house. And when um, yeah, so when he left the body, he became um, yeah, he bought a new house for his children, and then he was only thinking about the new house that he was living and how it is so nice and everything. And once he left the body, he took another birth. He became a cobbler, and he started renting in that house. When he remembered his previous life and he wanted to meet his children, he came. They beat him with his shoes, saying that, "Who are you? Why are you coming? Don't tell any stories that and all." So what we have to understand is that whatever state of mind we are, will get that same state. There is another similar scenario where somebody was very much attached to the money that they were storing in their safe, and even he was not giving that money to his kids also. When even when the kids were they grew into adults, he used to just safeguard the safe with the lock and never gave them any money. And the kids always used to think, how can we kill our father so that we can take the money? These were the thoughts they were getting, and but they were not daring to do that. And one fine day, because of age, the father passes away, and he was only thinking, oh, this safe has to be kept safe. Otherwise, my kids will take the money and they will spoil it, or they will lose the money. And he was in that thought process. But after the father passes away, finally the kids got the keys. They go to open the safe, and suddenly a scorpion appears from below the safe and tries to bite them. And the kids, what they do, they get so angry and they immediately crush the scorpion to death. And what we understand from that is the scorpion was nothing but the father who took birth in the next life. He was so much attached to the safe to keep it always secure that in the next life also he took as a scorpion, trying to keep the safe secure from anyone. And these kids were in the thought process of always killing the father, so they did at least crush the scorpion and kill the father. So these are all like examples that we give. Sometimes they appear to be very um, frightening, maybe, or not scary. But this is what we have to understand. We must not we must not get attached to material things. This human form of life is a promotion that we got. And if we are spending our time attaching to material things, that promotion will not stay. We'll get demoted to a lower species of life. We should always be thinking of higher um, higher thoughts, which is spiritual thoughts. Then we will, in previous chapter we read that we like for sure get a human form of life to continue our service. So therefore, what Krishna is recommending Arjuna is Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu
तस्मात्
तस्मात्
सर्वेषु
सर्वेषु
कालेषु
कालेषु
Mam Anusmara Yudhya Cha
माम्
माम्
अनुस्मर युध्य च
अनुस्मरयुध्य च
Mayarpita Manobuddhir
My
मय्यर्पितमनो
मय्यर्पितमनो
बुद्धिर्
बुद्धिर्
Mam Evaishyasi Asamshayaha.
माम् एवैषसि
एवैषयि
असंशयः.
असंशयः.
Anyone wants to read the translation?
Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt.
Jai, thank you. So what Krishna is saying is, even when you're fighting, keep me in mind. Whatever activity you're doing, keep me in mind. So that's what we'll also read in next chapter. What is the process where we can always think of Krishna? And if we perform our prescribed duty, for Arjuna, prescribed duty is fighting. Similarly, for us, the prescribed duty as a Grihastha is to raise the family, to do work, to get money in all the legal means, without any illegal things, and raise kids to become good citizens of the society. How we can make them? By making them Krishna conscious, we ourselves becoming Krishna conscious. Then if we are always fixed in the thoughts of Krishna, then we will attain Krishna without a doubt. Of that there is no doubt. That's why it is called Guhyataram, means the secret knowledge, because every time we have to keeping Krishna in our mind only. Um, then we will for sure achieve Krishna at the end of the life. And this whole remaining chapters of Bhagavad Gita will tell us how to do that very practically. Mamupetya punarjanma
Mam upetya punarjanma
dukkhalayam ashashvatam
dukhalayam
Dukhalayam
asasvatam
Shashvatam
napnuvanti mahatmanaha
Napnuvanti
napnuvanti mahatmanah
samsiddhim paramam gataha.
Samsiddhim
samsiddhim
Paramam
paramam
Gataha.
gataha.
Anyone wants to read the translation?
After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection.
Yeah, so this material world is called Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. So why are we so pessimistic? Why are we calling this material world Dukkhalayam? It is not pessimistic. It is sometimes the reality appears to be pessimistic. If we are in a jail and if we tell the person in the jail, hey, you're in the jail, you don't say, why are you so pessimistic? Why are you so discouraging me? But unfortunately, the scripture says Shastra means scripture. Shastra and the word Shastra. Shastra means weapon. So Shastras are like Shastras, means they are very much to the point. Sometimes they are harsh for us to understand the reality. So this place, we think that my life is going fine like this. Why Bhagavad Gita? Why are these people saying that this is a place of misery? But because the threefold miseries we discussed, right? Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik, Adi Atmik. Means our mind creating own miseries, our fellow living entities creating miseries, and higher entities creating miseries. Even if we escape those, there are four problems nobody in this material world will escape. What are called? They are called the Bhava Roga. Bhava means this material world, Roga means diseases. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. Um, what is that? Birth, death, old age, and disease. Take any person in this world, they have to take birth, and birth is a very painful process. We discussed about how the baby undergoes trauma at the time of birth. Mrityu is every whoever is born in this world has to die, and death is a painful process. And Jara, there is nobody in this world who will not get old. Everyone becomes old. Vyadi, unfortunately, and especially in this age where so much pollution, quality of food is down, everything is down. Vyadi is guaranteed for everyone, whether they get it sooner or very late. Unfortunately, that's the reality. So, what the scriptures keep reminding us is, don't think that the place you are living is a happy place. It is a dukkhalayam, and it is also ashashvatam. Nothing in this world is permanent. You cannot think that okay, whatever happiness you have currently will be there. And but the other good thing is the sadness that we have or the misery that we have is also not permanent, but the biggest miseries will all be there as long as we keep this body, which is the four bhavarogas. And in scriptures it is compared that the happiness that we get in this material world is similar to in the olden days when a king catches a thief, right, who steals something. In order for them to punish, what they will do is they will take a bucket of water, fill it to the brink. They tie the hands and legs of the thief, make them kneel on their knees, and they will take their head, duck it in the water until they are about to lose their breath. Then they take the head out. Then they catch one breath, like that, one or two breaths, and immediately they put their head in the water, and they will catch. So, our position in the material world is like that. We are struggling for that happiness in this material world, and just when we are about to give up, we get a few happiness here and there, and not people don't realize that, and they come up with their own theories. Like for example, if you see Facebook or LinkedIn or anywhere, they say, hey, this is the life. This life is all about small happiness you get here and there, enjoy those things like that. uh, they just give up the real purpose where that because they don't know that there is a place of real happiness, and they just want to adjust that the small things that you do. Even there are ads like that, they enjoy these little things in life and those things, but why settle with those little things and for the many other things go through the misery when you can solve the whole problem. And that's why if you see the Mahatmas who attain Krishna will, in devotion, will never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection. We discussed, right? Once someone gets a shock, they will not dare to put their finger again. So once we attain that Param Gati, we know that this material world we don't want to go for sure at all. And in the previous chapter, we discussed when the whole living entities appear, were there. Three-fourth of the living entities were in the spiritual world, one-fourth are in the material world. Whatever reason we have been here, but at least once we are here, we have to make every effort to go back to the spiritual world and not come back. Abrahma Bhuvanaloka
Ma Brahma Bhavana Loka
Punaravartino Arjuna
Punaravartino Arjuna
Arjuna,
Mamupetyatu Kaunteya
Mamupet Kauteya
Kaunteya
Punarjanma na Vidyate.
Punarjanmana
Punarjanmana
Vidyate.
Vidyate.
Anyone wants to read the translation?
From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again.
Jai, thank you, Mataji. So here the Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi is also mentioned here, right? So what is Krishna is saying is, if you are in this material world, there is no place, Arjuna, whether it is the Brahmaloka, the topmost, or the lowest planet, which is Patala Loka. There is no place in this whole material world where you can escape these four things, the Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. Of course, in the Brahmaloka, or in the higher planets, the duration of life is long, but everything is relative. We have to understand, right? Because uh, we are in this world, we can see ourselves, we live for 100 years, but the ants that are in our backyard, they live for how many? Maybe a few weeks or a few months. But for the ant, it is 100-year lifetime because it it's born, it collects, it grows, it collects the food, it stores it. Maybe a one winter it will go through that, and after it ages, it dies. But for it, it's 100 years. Similarly, for us, this whole life appears 100 years. Even in the higher planets, even though a person living in the higher planet, for them, one day is equal to one full year here, which is uh, the planet of the Indra's planet. And similarly, Brahma's planet, one day in Brahma is like 1,000 yuga cycles, means some 432 million years here. Even then, for them, it is relative. It appears to be only 100 years for them, right? So what we have to understand is wherever we go, that these four things will come. And if we stay in this material world, it is again we have to keep taking this birth again and again and again. We also discussed, even though we go to higher planet, it is like going to a place where our credits are kept track of. Our pious credits will be kept track of, and if our credits are over, they'll say, thank you sir, thank you ma'am, you completed your time here, please fall down to to the earthly planet. And again we have to fall down here and take another life, either as an animal or human or whatever. So what is the solution then? How are we going to get out? Krishna is giving the solution, right? Which is, but whoever come to his abode, they will never take birth again. So that is the place we have to achieve. That Krishna is revealing the details about his abode, and he's giving more information about that abode also. Avyaktokshara ityuktas
Avyakshara
Tokshara
Ityuktas
Ityas
tam ahuh paramam gatim
Tam
Tam
Ahu
Anu
Paramam
Param
Gatim
Gatim
yam prapya na nivartante
Yam
Yam
prapya na
Yana
nivartante.
Nivartante
Taddama paramam mama.
Tadhama
Dhamma
Tadhama
Paramam
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 mama.
Mama.
Purushah sa parah partha
Purusha Paraprata
Parapata
bhaktya labhyastva ananyaya
Bhaktya
Bhaktya labhyastva ananyaya
Ananya Yaya
yasyantah sthani bhutani
Yasyanta
yasyantastani bhutani
Bhutani
ena sarvam idam tatam.
Yena
Yena
Sarvam
sarvam
Idam
Sarvam
idam
Idam
Tatam.
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 Anyone wants to read the two translations?
That which the Vedantists describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never turns. That is my supreme abode. The supreme personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attained by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his adobe, he is all pervading and everything is situated within him. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So he's saying that the topmost abode, Parandama, is his abode. That is my abode, he says. So the topmost planet, which is Goloka Vrindavan, which is Vaikuntha, is Krishna's, and Krishna expands as different forms like Rama, Narsimha, Vamana, Venkateswara, everyone. Each of them have their own Vaikuntha planet based on their bhava. And Krishna is the topmost planet is the Goloka Vrindavan, and we also have Ayodhya. We also have um, now all the other Vaikuntha planets also that belong to each of these expansions of Krishna. And how we can achieve that Paramdama? By Bhaktya Labhyastva Ananyaya, means by unalloyed devotion. If we do perform devotional service in an unalloyed mood, then we can attain that supreme destination. And he is present in his abode. Although he is present in his abode, he is also all pervading, and he is also situated. Everything is situated in him. That we have read, right? Everything is situated on him as pearls or strung on a string. Vedeshu yagneshu tapaschaiva
Yedeshu
Yeshu
Yajna
yagneshu tapaseva
daneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam
daneshu yat punya
Punya
phalam
Phalam
pradishtam
Prastham
Tapastam
atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva
Atyeti
atyeti
Tat Sarvam Idam Viditva
Atva
yogi param sthanam upaiti chadyam.
Yogi
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 Param Sthanam
Parastanam
paramsthanam
Upaiti
Upayati
Chadyam.
Satyam.
Can someone read the translation?
A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing phys- philosophical and intuitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode.
Jai, thank you, Prabhu. So, what Krishna is saying is, don't worry about doing these sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, fruitive philosophical research, means Gnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, fruitive Karma Yoga, Karma Kanda, and all those things. Simply perform devotional service, which is the Nishkama Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga or Krishna consciousness, also called Buddhi Yoga. So, Bhagavad Gita has so many terms for devotional service. It's called Buddhi Yoga, means because we are using intelligence, intelligence will tell us what is the ultimate goal, which is attaining the supreme. So it's Bhakti Yoga is also called Buddhi Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is also called Karma Yoga in the mood of Nishkama Karma, means we don't have any desire but only to serve the Supreme Lord. And, and if we do that, at the end, we achieve the supreme abode only. We will not be losing anything. Similarly, if you pass 10th grade, which means that you already crossed third, fourth, and fifth. Nobody will say, if you show them when you are applying for things, you will send your 10th grade certificate, right? Will you send first grade certificate, second grade certificate, third grade certificate, fourth grade certificate, all of them? No. If you pass 10th grade means you automatically, which means that you passed all the lower grades. Similarly, if we came to the process of Bhakti Yoga and we passed that, which means that all the results that would come by performing these Vedic sacrifices, austerities, everything will be already included in that. That is the beauty or the greatness of Bhakti Yoga. So, what is the devotional service? We have been talking about Bhakti Yoga. What is devotional service? Who is a great example of a devotee? Anyone remembers from, can think of a few people who are devotees? From whoever,
Chaitanya.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, yes. But
Pra-
yes,
Bhakta Prahlad.
Prahlad, yes, very nice example. Arjuna, yes.
Arjuna.
Prahlada.
Prahlada, yep. Anyone else? Hanuman, right? Hanuman is a devotee of Ram. Who else?
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada, yes. Okay. So Prahlad is very much a great example. He is also a Mahajan. Mahajan means someone who gives guidance to other people on how to follow the devotional service. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, he was giving this information. He says, Shri Prahlad Vacha
Prahladu. Sri
Prahladovacha.
Prahlada.
Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu
Shravanam
Sravanam
Kirtanam
Kirtanam
Vishnu.
Vishnu.
Smaranam Pada Sevanam
Smaranam
Smaranam
Pada
Padasevanam.
Padasevanam.
Archanam Vandanam Dasyam
Archanam
Archanam
Vandanam
Vandanam
Dasyam.
Dasyam.
Sakyam Atma Nivedanam
Sakyam
Sakyam
Atma
Atmanivedanam.
Nivedanam.
Iti Pumsharpita Vaishnav
Iti
Iti Pumsharpita
Pumsharpita
Vishnu.
Vaishnav.
Bhaktis Chain Lakshana
Bhaktis
Bhaktischain
Chainava Lakshana.
Navalakshana.
Navalasana.
Kriyeta Bhagavatyadha
Kriyeta
Kriyeta
Bhagavate Adya.
Bhagavatyadha.
Tanmanye Aditam Uttamam.
Tanmanye
Tanmanye
Aditam Uttamam.
Anyone wants to read the translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, go ahead.
Prahlad Maharaja said, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form of qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him with the body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
So Prahlad Maharaj is saying that if someone takes to the process of one of these 9 devotional activities, what are those? Shravanam means hearing the glories of the Supreme Lord or topics of the Supreme Lord, like hearing about Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna Katha, Hari Katha, anything. Hearing about those is Shravanam. Kirtanam means glorifying. You yourself talking to some people and glorifying about the Supreme Lord, or even chanting, or even singing Kirtan, glorifying the holy name. This comes under Kirtan. Uh, and of Vishnu, it's not like somebody we glorify, right? In the material world, we glorify so many people around us to get benefit from them. No, devotional service means we have to glorify the Supreme Lord always. Smaranam, always remembering, means like we sit and keep remembering about the pastimes of Krishna when he was young, like that. Pada Sevanam means serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Means all if we have a deities in the temple, altar in the temple, deities in the house, altar in the house, go and offer flowers to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, render service there. Archanam means worship with the 16 types of paraphernalia, or basically, if we go to the temple, you can there is also you can do archana. we will where they will say some mantras and glorify the Supreme Lord with those mantras, with Uttama shlokas. Vandanam means offer prayers to when we go to the temple. What do we do? Okay, we don't even fold our hands. We go there, say hi to the Lord, and then come back. No, when we go to the temple, we immediately should bow down, saying that, "Oh Lord, I am your servant. I came to serve you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to visit your temple. Please bless me, give me the knowledge, take me, bring me closer to you." All those things we can ask. But we worry about, oh, if I fold my hands, what will others think? Or if I bend and put my head on the floor, what will others think? No, we are just there to serve the Supreme Lord, and we should be very humble. Dasyam means becoming the servant. What does the servant do? The servant always executes order of the Supreme Lord. So if we go become a servant, we always want to bring more and more people to Krishna consciousness and act as a servant and make the Supreme Lord happy. And Prabhupada says that when we say about servant, it always goes with a negative connotation, right? Because in the material world, when we become a servant, what happens? It always brings us misery because we have to keep serving someone, serve. They are not happy. We serve our boss in the office. Whatever we do, our boss is not happy. He will say, "You did not do this, you did not do that." We think that we will serve our husband or our wife, we do a lot of things for them, and they're still not happy. So, but the service is, so when we say dasyam, that's see, just we discussed yesterday, right? The Supreme Lord, we think that there is no form because any forms that we see in this material world has a end date. That's why we think that God is great, so he might not be having a form. That is our material vision, that it is incorrect. Similarly, in with the material vision, we think a servant is always a suffering person, but any servant who is serving the Supreme Lord, he will get mutually as much exuberance or as much bliss that the Supreme Lord, because the Supreme Lord will reciprocate. Krishna, we read in chapter 4 that he will always reciprocate. So if we serve, he will immediately reciprocate with the same feelings that we have, feelings of bliss that we want. And finally, Sakyam Atma Nivedanam, which are the moods of Arjuna and the Radharani and the other gopis. We're always thinking of Krishna, either as a friend or as a um, husband or lover, like that. And completely Atma Nivedana means complete surrender, which they all the gopis did, where they always talk about Krishna only and do everything for them. So if we pick even so, why we say chanting? If you see, when you see anybody in ISKCON, they're always carrying with a chanting bag, and you think that who are these people every time carrying these bags, you know? The reason they are doing it is they are engaging themselves in these three activities. Smaranam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Shravanam means they are chanting loudly. They are saying Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Means they are, when they are saying that, they are glorifying, and at the same time they are hearing their own voice. Similarly, when during the process they are thinking about the Supreme Lord and his pastimes. So they are following those three things. With one thing of chanting, three devotional activities are taken care. So that's why this chanting is so effective. It's not like if something is sentimental, right? People will do for some time and they will leave. There is nothing that they will carry on for, like. But if you see, this movement is spreading like anything from the time Prabhupada came. Why? Because people who are doing chanting can see the difference in their life, and the proof is in the pudding, they will say, right? So you can actually taste that the difference that shows up. So that's why we say that read Bhagavad Gita, do chanting and all. At least start with one round, get a japa meal, japa beats, one mala, and then also dedicate one round of japa beats. One mala will take you 10 minutes. So we should all do the chanting, and similarly uh, we can read just for 15 minutes, 30 minutes a day, read Bhagavad Gita. It will create. And when we are reading Bhagavad Gita, we are also always constantly remembering the Supreme Lord, and we are also glorifying him because we are reading about him and the song he wrote. And whatever, if these nine processes are done, we have to understand that that person is the most learned because he came to the ultimate conclusion. And like these are different examples on what each of these devotional services are done, right? We can think of these various pastimes and think of these 9 forms of devotional services. And I think we just discussed of all the different spiritual practices, the 9 forms of bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtana, etc., are the best because they have great potency to deliver Krishna and ecstatic love for him. Of these 9 practices, Nama Sankirtana is the best. By chanting the holy name without offense, one can easily obtain the priceless treasure of Krishna Prema. What we get by doing this devotional service is Krishna Prema, love for the Lord. Um, if we take up this chanting process, we'll get that love. It is written in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antilila, chapter 4, 70 and to 1. So then is also a mention about what is this unalloyed devotional service, which is unalloyed means what? Can anyone guess? What is an alloy?
I think without expecting anything from the Lord, we need to do devotional service.
No, but what is the meaning of unalloyed? What is the meaning of alloy? Steel is an alloy, right? Why we call steel as an alloy?
It's it's a combination of few things.
Yes, we mix something into the pure metal. So we take iron and we mix I think brass or something to make it steel or different kind of things. So anything that got mixed is not real pure iron there. Similarly, if we mix our devotional service with some desires, we say, "Oh, I'm going to go to the temple, offer this coconut, and ask God for promotion, or ask God for a Tesla car, or ask." Those are like mixed devotion service where we are mixing our desires into that. Unalloyed means pure. There is no mixture of our desires, which is also that why it's called the Nishkama Karma Yoga. So devotional service we saw, and even Prahalad Maharaja says that these 9 processes are come under the pure devotional service, which is the unalloyed devotional service. So, what is pure versus um, what is unalloyed versus the mixed devotional service is it is our bhava in which we do the service, and how Krishna is now going to tell what is this unalloyed devotional service. How we'll find out? We'll find out tomorrow in chapter 9. Chapter 9 is now called the most confidential knowledge. Guhyam, Guhyataram, Guhyatamam. Now, Krishna introduced in chapter 7 and 8 about devotional service. Now he is going to tell the ultimate of all, pure devotional service. In what mood we have to we can attain the pure devotional service. Okay. Any questions before we close today's session?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, one question here, Prabhuji, like Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, right? While doing the Smaranam and Kirtanam, like while chanting Prabhuji, our mind goes to here and there, right? But is it considered as like, proper Shravanam or what you want us to do, Prabhuji, here? Like sometimes we are unable to control our senses, right?
So, if we call the Supreme Lord with a pure heart, pure with complete in the mood of pure devotional service, Ananya Bhakti, Prabhupada says you will be automatically there in Vaikuntha, or Vaikuntha will be there wherever you are. But can we expect to pass the 10th class exam by the time we come to the first day of school of 10th grade? No, right? Because we have to study. Uh, because we have to. My kid is like in 3rd grade. He's now already second grade. He's saying that no, we cannot pass that because he knows that you cannot pass the final exam unless you start studying. Same thing. We cannot expect to be that Ananya Bhakti stage by first time by chanting itself. So our mind is, what are the 2 types of body that we have?
Gross body and subtle body or something?
Yes. So we read in the 2nd chapter, right? We there are 2 types of body we have. Gross body means the actual physical body that we see, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, the skin, the bones, everything. And the subtle body is mind, intelligence, and the false ego, which we cannot see, but we know it exists. And what it is, since both of these basically the body is material and the soul is spiritual. So when we say body is material, the physical body, gross body is material. It is made up of the five elements. So after death, these five elements go back into the earth, water, fire, ether, and air, like that. They go back into the earth. Similarly, the subtle body is also material, meaning the mind is a material element. Anything that is material will always attach to material things. So mind being material will always think of material thoughts only. But we being the soul, we have to use our intelligence to control the mind to not think of material things, which is we have to keep bringing it back. Mind goes somewhere, we have to say, hey, please come back. So what Krishna is going to look at is, he is going to not look at whether we succeeded in controlling the mind. He only looks at, have we succeeded in bringing the mind back? So when you're chanting, if your mind is going somewhere, as soon as you remember that the mind went somewhere, bring it back. And again, after some time, it will go again. Again, as soon as you remember, bring it back. What you would should avoid is when you remember that, oh, mind strayed away from what I wanted to do, then you don't let it go. You put some effort to bring it back. Even if it goes the very next second, bring it back. Instead of, as soon as you remember the mind went somewhere, don't let it stick there. That is the only thing. Krishna will look at, okay, this person put a sincere effort to bring the mind back. That is where he will look at. He will not look at, oh, this person, out of this chanting, he was able to put his mind steady for so much time. No, he's saying mind will always go for everyone. It is not just you, Prabhu, me, everyone who is chanting. Because if the mind did not go, it is stuck in the lotus feet of Krishna, who will be in Vaikuntha. So since we are here, which means that our mind is going here and there, we have to put effort to bring it back by practice only. Practice, 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 which is uh, what is the word given? Practice means abhyasa. Abhyasa, vairagya. So abhyasa means keep on practicing. Vairagya means bring it back. Bring it back from the material world. We don't want it to be attached to the material things. Does it answer the question, Prabhuji? We have to keep practicing, practicing, practicing.
Yes, Prabhuji. And in one of the previous slide, Prabhuji, if you go back, I have one more question, Prabhuji. I think, 1 second, Prabhuji, here. Simply by performing the devotionals, no, not this much, Prabhuji. Actually, maybe next slide, Prabhuji. Somewhere you mentioned, like, Prabhuji, like, we need to do 9 types of devotional service
Yeah, here.
without any sinful action. Somewhere in the slide I have seen, Prabhuji. Like, what is the meaning? I mean, like, usually we don't do any sinful actions, but like while doing the Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Vishnu Smaranam, like if mind is going here and there, is it considered as a sinful action?
Oh,
Or
without
what
offense.
is it, Prabhuji? Somewhere I see it in
This
the
one, by
slide.
chanting the holy name without offense.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji, without offense.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm sorry,
So
Prabhuji.
what it is saying is those offenses not the mind going here and there. It is basically once someone takes up devotional service, we come across what are called as the offenses. So on the material platform, we have two buckets. One is papa and one is the punya. If we do pious activities, we get punya. If we do sinful activities, we get papa. But that is on the material platform. If we do more punya, we go to higher planets. After punya is over, we again go to hellish planet to also remove the credits for papa we did, and again take birth. And it is not, you have to understand that if we did some sin in the previous life, the punya will not compensate. They don't. The problem with the material world is if sin will not compensate for a pious activity will not compensate for a sin. Means if we did one sin and if we did one pious activity, unfortunately, we have to take the result of the pious activity and also we have to take the result of the sinful activity both. I mean, sometimes we have to go to hellish planet, sometimes we go to higher planet. That is the problem with the material world. So that's why when we surrender to the Krishna, he will remove both of them so that we don't have to stay in this material world and execute decrement our credits both on pious and sinful reaction. That is on the material platform. But on the spiritual platform, we also have two buckets. One is called the bhakti and one is called the aparada, means the offense. So that will be a topic that comes once we decide to take the bhakti process seriously, which is once we take up this process of bhakti, there are 10 things we need to be very careful on. Those are called the 10 offenses. Means we should not be causing hurting the other devotees who are also doing bhakti. We took up bhakti. What is the point of we taking a bus towards a destination and throughout the whole journey we create misery to other passengers? It only creates more trouble for everyone, right? So we took up bhakti. There are so many people who took up bhakti. Don't create misery for them. Means we should not create offenses further. That is the first offense. Similarly, second offense is don't think that these are imagination, these scriptures. We have to have full faith in them. Because if you are sitting in a bus and think, if you are not hopeful that it will go there, this whole process will be miserable. Even though you are doing bhakti, you are not confident about the destination that supreme abode that Krishna is going to give. That is also an offense. We are unnecessarily wasting our time. So there are like that 8 offenses, which is what we typically have to avoid, which are like not something very difficult. If we are very sincere and if we are very careful, we can do that. Then that the result will come much faster. Maybe we'll have a follow-up session. If you are interested, we can have more details about the whole bhakti process, the Krishna conscious movement. We can discuss those remaining 8 also.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for this, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
The
Hare
detailed
Krishna.
explanation.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you mentioned about one shloka. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhya cha mame vaishyasi mame vaishyasya samshaya or mame vaishyasi
Maya
asamshaya.
Pita Manobuddhir, Mame
Maya
Vaishyasi
arpita
Asamsaya.
manobuddhi mame vaishyasi asamshaya. So my doubt is, so if you are thinking of every moment, if you are thinking about Krishna, and he's saying, you will attain me. So I'm guessing that attain me is moksha. That is one question. And another is when if you are attaining him or if it's equivalent to moksha, and if you are thinking every minute, then why do we need to do chanting?
Yeah. So to think about Krishna always, that's the answer. Because we are not thinking of Krishna always. In order to think of Krishna always, we do chanting so that we are always thinking of Krishna. And in the next chapter, we will get it is when Krishna says, always think of me in the form of Krishna, means we also, when we are taking his word, we are following his words, which means that we are essentially following what he's saying, thinking of Krishna only. uh, because even if we are executing a activity at work or if Arjuna is fighting, Arjuna is when he's fighting with the enemies, he has to also think about which direction the arrow has to be shot so that it will hit the enemy, right? At the time, he's not thinking of Krishna. That doesn't mean that he's not thinking of Krishna always. No, because he's following the instructions of Krishna. He is thinking of Krishna always because that instruction. Same thing what in the chapter 9 it comes. Yat karosi yad asnasi yad juhosi yad tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurusha madarpanam means whatever state you are in, like we are a grihastha, we have to do our activities. But if we do it as an offering to Krishna, which means that we are always thinking of Krishna only. And that's why we add chanting to the process and all, where we constantly practice thinking of Krishna. That's one of the devotional activities we mentioned, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm saying like if you are not able to think, like if you are not able to perform work as a yagna, if you're not like everyone performs action, action is yagna. If you're not able to perform action as yagna, then fine, you're like chanting. But if you're performing action as yagna and you're
Okay,
always
great. Yeah, I mean,
then
if you are
ending.
performing every action as an yagna, yes, chanting. But what we can understand is we saw from the previous chapter, right? Um, Whatever the learned person do, the general people follow. Yadyat acharit shreshtas. So the shreshtas, the what they will do is, in order for them to be an example, because even if they are atmaramas, they are fully satisfied and all the work they are doing is based on is similar to yagna. What if they stop doing that other processes? What people will think is, okay, I'm also like that great person. He is not doing, why I should do. So that's why they are very careful. And even though if you see all the Prabhupada or any of his disciples who are very much always thinking of Krishna only, they still do their prescribed duties, which is chanting and Mangala Arati, all those things. Why? Because if at all they stop doing that, people will will think that, oh, I'm also like that person. I might be doing the same thing, and they might stop. So it is just to be as an example that even though they are Shrestha's, they will still follow everything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the only intention I asked is not that this is that we should stop, because if a real Atmagnani, he will really not stop actually.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just wanted to like take the argument to the logic, like to the like extreme end, and then see like what is the result, like in the sense if we stop. I mean, what is the like going to be the impact?
They don't feel like stopping. It is in the there are just like the 9 types of devotional service. There is 9 stages in devotional service, which is called Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, um, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti. So right now, if I say let's go to a movie, we immediately jump and go to a new movie when it comes, because we have so much attachment to the name, to that movie or that entertainment. But we don't do the same thing when it comes to chanting and those things, because we don't have that kind of asakti there. Because what is the reason is there is this ruchi taste. When we go to we got so much used to the taste of getting the entertainment from movies, we immediately have that asakti, means like eagerness. But as we keep doing this devotional service, after we remove all our anarthas, means the things that keep us bound to this material world, what comes is called the ruchi, means the taste for Krishna, the real taste for the devotional service. Then comes the asakti in devotional service. When someone reaches that stage, they do it for that asakti, means there is no force to do that. They automatically want to do that chanting again and again, because they keep getting that wonderful bliss and taste from the spiritual world, which is the Krishna consciousness or the prema of Krishna's prema. So what you said is all right, which is they don't stop that, either because they want to be examples to others, and at the same time, it is they must so much attached to doing that they always do it.
Okay, no, like yeah, I didn't let me paraphrase. Actually, I didn't. The thing is, if you think logically, that may be one conclusion, but if the meaning is actually realized, then the question of not chanting does not arise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was trying to point.
Yeah.
And also, Prabhuji, you talked about like avyakta, right? So, like when you say avyakta, is it like avyakta is basically unmanifest? So when you say avyakta, that sloka, I'm not very sure. Like just 1 or 2 slides before it is there actually.
Yes.
I think
Yeah, let me share. It is there.
avyaktam vyaktimapannam. I think that is. No. 8 point. Yeah, 8 point. Yeah, 8 point. Like 21 or 22.
It's also mentioned here, Avyaktokshara, means
So when you say avyakta, it's the unmanifest. So when you say unmanifest, so can we think that it is actually beyond the mind and senses, and therefore it is unmanifest?
your voice is low. I don't know if it is me, but I cannot hear you anymore.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me speak. So unmanifest, is it with respect to the? Is it because it is unmanifest because it is beyond the range of mind and intellect?
Yeah, so that is a great question. So avyakta means that is unmanifest from the material standpoint, which is what a materialistic person cannot see. Anything that is manifest can be perceived from the material senses. But it is avyakta because we cannot perceive from the material senses, but we can always perceive it from the spiritual senses. So that's why when we get moksha, we get a spiritual body, and that is basically uh, the the body that takes us to the spiritual world, and we should be able to perceive the spiritual world there with our spiritual senses, spiritual body.
Okay. Perceiving with physical body is one second, Prabhuji. Yeah. So it's like I think just to take a little bit like further. So he says, Vimuda nanu pashyanti gnana chakshusha. So when you see with the eye of knowledge,
Yes.
then you are able to see. So
Yep.
we say that when you see with the spiritual knowledge, then that is when you actually can
That is when you can perceive. Otherwise, we cannot.
perceive the spiritual reality. uh, in the way of knowledge.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions from anyone? Okay, great discussion. We'll continue this from the most confidential knowledge tomorrow, chapter 9. And we'll close this today's session by saying Hare Krishna 3 times. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
भगवान श्री कृष्ण परमात्मा की जय,
Jai,
श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय,
Jai,
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, ऑल गुरुज टू
Jai,
कृष्ण, हरे कृष्ण, ऑल गुरुज टू वैष्णव डिवोटीज, हरे
Hare
कृष्णा.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you everyone, हरे कृष्णा.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.